Most men spend their lives chasing shadows. They believe respect is earned through charm, wealth, or the perfect physique. But they're wrong. Respect, true, lasting respect, doesn't come from what you give externally. It comes from who you are when no one's watching. It's not about impressing her. It's about embodying the kind of man who doesn't need to. What if I told you that attraction isn't about being flashy, loud, or constantly available? It's about mastering the quiet power that most overlook. Because just like men, women carry silent patterns, emotional triggers, deep-rooted desires and hidden vulnerabilities they don't speak of and often don't even recognize. And while most men stay blind to these truths, a few learn to read between the lines. In this video, we're not chasing games. We're revealing 10 hidden psychological dynamics that, once understood, will forever change how women perceive and respect you. This isn't manipulation, it's self-mastery. It's Stoicism in practice. Let's begin. 1. Women are drawn to what they can't have. There's an unspoken law of human nature. We crave what we can't easily possess. That's why we chase rare watches, limited edition sneakers, luxury cars. Scarcity increases value. And guess what? Women operate under the same principle, especially in relationships. One of their deepest subconscious weaknesses is this. They're drawn to men who aren't fully available, not because they enjoy being ignored, but because uncertainty ignites attraction. And when you're too eager, too open, too constantly available, you lower your perceived value without even knowing it. Sure, she may appreciate the attention, but she won't chase it. She craves the thrill of discovery, the mystery, the tension. That subtle question in her mind, where do I stand with him? That's what keeps her engaged. That's what triggers a psychological hunger no compliments can create. Look around, how many men drop everything for a woman's text? How many guys lose themselves trying to be nice, thinking availability equals affection? And how often does that approach work? Rarely. On the other hand, the man who is selective with his time, who doesn't orbit around her schedule, who lets his presence be felt but not overexposed, he becomes irresistible. So how do you apply this without playing games? Simple. Don't always be available. Let her wonder when she'll hear from you again. Live your life. Prioritize your mission. Don't give everything away at once. Let her discover you, layer by layer. When you speak, don't overshare. And when you're with her, be fully present. But when you're gone, let the silence build. Curiosity. The moment she feels she's completely figured you out, the chase ends. Respect fades. But when you keep a part of yourself just out of reach, not in a deceptive way, but in a disciplined, self-possessed way, she'll keep coming back. Because here's the truth. What's easily attained is rarely deeply respected. And the man who doesn't need to be chased often becomes the one women chase the hardest. 2. The power of emotional certainty. There's a kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't need to flex, doesn't need to prove itself. It's the quiet, unshakable presence of a man who controls his emotions no matter what chaos swirls around him. That, my friend, is emotional certainty. Women are deeply emotional beings, but don't mistake that for weakness or irrationality. It simply means that emotion plays a central role in how they experience the world, especially in relationships. And buried within that emotional framework is a powerful, hidden vulnerability. Their craving for emotional stability. A woman doesn't just want passion. She doesn't just want sparks. She wants safety, emotional safety. The kind of safety that says, I won't fall apart when things get hard. I won't disappear when the storm hits. This is why women are subconsciously drawn to men who remain composed. Men who stay calm when life throws a punch. Men who don't spiral when things don't go their way. Because when a man stays emotionally grounded, she feels anchored. But when a man becomes reactive, moody, dependent on her to feel okay, he reverses the polarity. Suddenly she has to stabilize him. Suddenly she becomes the strong one and he becomes the fragile one. And that shift, it kills attraction instantly. You want to be respected? Be the man who doesn't flinch. Be the man who doesn't need to yell to be heard. Be the man who exudes calm under pressure. This is Stoic confidence. You feel the heat, but you don't sweat. You feel the tension, but you don't crack. When she's upset, you don't react, you listen. When life disappoints, you don't whine, you adapt. When challenges rise, you don't panic, you solve. This level of composure makes you magnetic. It tells her subconscious, this man is safe, I can relax around him. You become a harbor in her emotional storm. And that kind of man is unforgettable. Emotional certainty isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about mastering them. And when you do, you'll find that women not only respect you, they'll be drawn to you without even knowing why. 3. Women can't resist a man who walks away. There's a silence more powerful than shouting. There's a gesture louder than words. Walking away, if you want to trigger a woman's deepest emotional response, show her you can leave, not in anger, not in revenge, but in absolute calm. Most men do the opposite. The second they feel her pulling away, they panic. They start chasing, explaining, begging, trying to fix things that were never theirs to fix. But here's what they don't realize. The more you chase, the less she respects you. Because now she knows. You need her more than she needs you. You've handed her all the power. And that's when the attraction dies. A woman's hidden weakness? Her emotional reaction to loss. To the man who doesn't flinch when she pulls away. To the man who doesn't fight for validation. Because his self-worth is untouchable. That's not cold. That's clarity. When you can walk away without hesitation, without fear, without emotional collapse, you're telling her something no words can express. I want you, but I don't need you. My value is not negotiable. And this is what drives women wild. Because now she knows. If she disrespects you, if she plays games, if she withdraws to test your response, you walk, and not because you're punishing her, but because you respect yourself more than you crave her approval. That kind of man is rare, and women instinctively value what's rare. Let me be clear. This isn't about manipulation. This is about standards, boundaries, self-respect. When you're willing to walk away, you won't have to, because now she's the one trying to earn you. So the rule is simple. Be the man who stays grounded, who stays composed. And when the moment calls for it, walk away like your peace is more important than her presence, because it is. 4. The unspoken influence of deep voice and presence. Before you even say a word, she already feels it. Your energy, your presence, the way you stand, move, and look into the world. It's not always about what you say. Sometimes it's the weight of your silence that speaks the loudest. One of the most underrated psychological triggers in attraction. A deep, controlled voice and commanding presence. Not superficial, not performative, but grounded. Science backs it. Studies consistently show that men with deeper voices are seen as more dominant, more confident, and yes, more attractive. Why? Because a deep voice signals something primal, high testosterone, inner strength and leadership. It's evolutionary, subconscious, and incredibly effective. But don't get this wrong, this isn't just about tone. It's not enough to just lower your voice and expect the world to fall at your feet. It's about presence, true presence. Presence isn't volume. It's gravity. It's how you move through the world with intention, how you take up space without asking for permission. A man with presence doesn't fidget. He doesn't rush. He walks slowly, deliberately, like every step matters. He holds eye contact not aggressively, but calmly. He speaks slowly, like each word carries weight. This isn't arrogance, it's control, and that control radiates strength. You don't have to prove anything. You just are. In contrast, weak presence leaks from the body before the mouth opens. Slouched posture, shifting eyes, an uncertain voice that trembles under pressure. Even if you think you're hiding it, she feels it. Because presence isn't what you pretend to have. It's what you cultivate through self-respect, discipline, and composure. So how do you build presence? You slow down, you straighten your spine, you eliminate nervous gestures, you speak less but mean more. And above all, you act from purpose, not pressure. Because here's the reality. Women are weak for men who command a room without saying a word. And when your energy is calm, composed, and intentional, she will feel it, she will respect it, and she won't forget it. 5. The paradox of controlled vulnerability. Strength isn't about being untouchable, and vulnerability isn't weakness unless you lose control of it. Here's the paradox most men don't understand. Show too much emotion and she sees you as unstable. Show too little and she sees you as emotionally unavailable. The key isn't to be open all the time. The key is to be strategically open from a place of power. Most guys believe the lie that women want them to be emotionally expressive 24/7. So they overshare. They dump every worry, every insecurity, every fear, thinking it builds intimacy. It doesn't. It builds discomfort. It sends a message. I don't know how to carry my own weight. But the man who knows how to balance strength and openness, that's the man who earns her deepest respect. Controlled vulnerability means this: you acknowledge your emotions, but you don't let them control the room. You share your struggles, but only after you've faced them like a warrior. You open up, but not for sympathy. You open up to show truth, not to seek validation. You don't say, "I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do." You say, "I went through something heavy, and here's how I handled it." That's not weakness. That's noble strength. Because the truth is, a woman wants to feel special when you open up, but not because you're falling apart, because you trust her with a glimpse of the man beneath the armor, without ever taking the armor off. Too much vulnerability too soon sends one clear signal: I need you to emotionally rescue me. And no matter how nurturing she is, that will always push her away. But when you choose your moments, when you open the door just enough to let her feel you, without letting it flood the space, you create something rare, emotional gravity. You become the deep ocean. Not flat, not frozen, but calm on the surface, powerful underneath. That's the kind of vulnerability that attracts. That earns respect. That makes her feel emotionally connected, without ever feeling emotionally burdened. So remember this: don't be the man who hides everything, but never be the man who gives it all away. Let her earn the parts of you that matter, because value is felt in what is revealed slowly, and in what is always under your control. 6. A man with a mission is her kryptonite. Forget what the world tells you. It's not your looks. It's not your bank account. It's not your pickup lines. A woman's greatest weakness is a man who is driven by something greater than her. A man on a mission. A man who wakes up with purpose burning in his chest. You want real respect? Build something. Pursue something. Stand for something. Women are instinctively drawn to men of direction. Because a man with purpose doesn't chase people, he attracts them. He doesn't get tossed around by emotion. He's too focused on his path. He doesn't need to prove himself. His actions speak louder than attention ever could. It could be building a business, mastering a craft, reaching a goal no one else sees but him. It doesn't matter what the mission is. What matters is that he has one. Because purpose creates discipline. It creates standards. And it creates independence, which is magnetic. Now, here's the mistake most men make. They make her the mission. They revolve their world around her texts, her schedule, her moods. They put her on a pedestal, thinking that's how love works. But ironically, The more you prioritize her over your path, the faster she loses respect. Because no woman wants to be the center of your universe. She wants to be invited into a universe that's already in motion, one that would keep spinning whether she's in it or not. A man with a mission doesn't wait around. He doesn't drop everything for a call. He doesn't trade long-term purpose for short-term attention. He's not cold, he's committed. He's not selfish, he's centered. And because of that, he becomes irresistible. So ask yourself right now, what are you building? What are you chasing? If the answer is nothing, don't expect her to stay, because she will sense it, and slowly, silently, she'll lose interest. But if you're a man who's busy becoming, a man with a clear direction, a vision greater than any single person, then she won't just want you, she'll want to be part of what you're creating. Remember, you don't win her respect by centering your world around her. You win it by refusing to abandon the world you're meant to build. 7. Women obsess over men who are hard to read. There's something powerful about mystery. Not confusion, not dishonesty, but that quiet, self-contained energy that keeps people guessing, especially women. You see, if a woman knows exactly how you feel, all the time, if she never has to wonder, never has to interpret, never has to guess, the intrigue dies, the chase ends, the respect fades. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Certainty kills desire. Women are emotionally attuned. They notice patterns, they read energy, they feel the story behind your words. And when that story is too obvious, too available, too eager, you lose the edge. She starts to pull back, not because she doesn't like you, but because she already has you. Fully, immediately, effortlessly. And what comes without effort rarely holds value. So what does a man who's hard to read look like? He doesn't text back instantly every time. Not out of rudeness, but because he has a life. He doesn't pour out his feelings after one date. Not because he's cold, but because he's centered. He doesn't constantly seek reassurance. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't need validation to feel secure. Instead, he shares himself slowly, piece by piece. He reveals, but never overshares. He connects, but never clings. He allows curiosity to build. Lets her wonder what he's thinking, what he's feeling, what makes him tick. And in that space of wondering, desire grows. Because imagination is fuel, and the man who sparks imagination will always hold a deeper power than the one who reveals everything too soon. This isn't about playing games. It's about self-restraint. It's about knowing that your inner world is valuable, and that not everyone gets full access instantly or easily. A woman will obsess over the man who keeps her guessing, not because he's manipulative, but because he's in control of his emotions, his time, his pace. So remember, don't be an open book on page 1. Let her turn the pages slowly. Let her earn the story, because what's fully known is rarely fully respected. But what's discovered piece by piece, that becomes unforgettable. 8. Confidence in the face of rejection is irresistible. Most men fear rejection like death. They avoid it, tiptoe around it, let it shape how they move. But here's what separates the average man from the rare one: the way he handles rejection. Because the truth is simple. Rejection doesn't destroy confidence, it reveals it. You want to know what drives women wild? A man who brushes off rejection like it's nothing, who laughs, nods, and keeps walking, as if his value was never up for debate. And when you don't crumble after a woman says no, when you don't beg for another chance, when you don't let it shake your energy, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. I know who I am. Your approval doesn't define me. That kind of self-possession is magnetic, because rejection isn't personal, it's preference, and confident men respect preference without internalizing it. You don't need to insult her, you don't need to explain yourself. You simply say, "No worries, your loss. Have a great day." And you move on, calm, light, unfazed. Why does this work? Because it flips the dynamic. Now you're the one who stayed centered. You didn't flinch. You didn't chase. You didn't need to be chosen to feel whole. Most men walk around terrified, afraid of what a woman might think, afraid of being told no, afraid of not being good enough. But the man who embraces rejection becomes untouchable because he's not chasing acceptance. He already accepts himself. Understand this. Women don't respect men who fear rejection. They respect men who rise above it, because when you no longer fear being denied, you become the one who's truly free. And nothing is more attractive than that. So next time rejection comes, don't shrink. Don't explain, just smile. And keep walking like the man who knows. Every no clears the way for the right yes. 9. A man who controls his desires controls everything. In a world where most men are ruled by impulse, the rarest strength is self-control. You want to know the ultimate hidden weakness women have? They can't resist a man who governs himself, a man who isn't chasing, begging, or blindly reacting to desire. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men are slaves to what they want. They chase women with desperation. They seek validation like oxygen. They let lust dictate every move, every word, every choice. But the man who stands still, who pauses before acting, who chooses not out of hunger, but out of clarity, that man holds power. A man who can say no to pleasure, who doesn't need to conquer every woman to feel like a man, who walks away from temptation not because he's weak, but because he's focused, that man is unforgettable. Because women are drawn to power, and power begins with discipline, not just in the gym, not just in your business, but in your ability to rule yourself. She sees it when you don't flirt with every girl in the room. She feels it when you don't respond to attention with neediness. She respects it when you don't trade your mission for a moment of validation. The moment you stop chasing women is the moment they start chasing you. Because now you're different. You're not like the rest. You're not ruled by appetite, you own it. You have standards. You have self-discipline. You don't say yes to everything that feels good. You say yes to what aligns with your purpose. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you respected. Because at the core of all attraction, all power, all leadership is this simple truth. If you cannot rule yourself, you will never lead anyone else. So be the man who doesn't chase pleasure. Be the man who chooses direction over distraction. Be the man who stands taller, not because he's louder, but because he's in control. And when you master that, you won't need to seek respect. It will find you. 10. Women are programmed to test your strength. Here's a truth most men don't want to hear. If a woman is attracted to you, she will test you. Not because she's cruel, not because she's playing games, but because she's wired that way. It's subconscious. It's instinctual. It's how she determines if the man in front of her is strong or just acting strong. These tests come in many forms. She might challenge your opinion just to see if you stand firm. She might act cold to see if you become insecure. She might create small conflicts to gauge your reaction. And if you fail the test, if you lash out, become defensive, try to convince her of your worth, you've already lost. Because in her mind it confirms a silent truth. You're not stable. You're reactive. You're emotionally volatile. And that kills respect immediately. But if you pass the test, if you remain calm, composed, unmoved, you become irresistible. Because now she sees something most men don't have: emotional sovereignty. She tests you not to hurt you, but to feel whether your strength is real, to feel whether you can handle the pressure not just from her, but from life. So how do you pass the test? You don't react emotionally. You don't explain yourself in desperation. You don't chase. You don't fall apart. You hold your frame. You smile. You say less, but mean more. If she pulls away, you don't follow. You stand still. You let her return, because a man grounded in his power doesn't move unless he chooses to. Remember this. Only men she respects get tested. So if she's testing you, take it as a sign of potential. But make no mistake, fail the test, and the potential disappears. In the end, these tests aren't obstacles. They're filters. She's filtering out the weak men, the ones who fake strength but crumble under pressure. So if you want her respect, don't resist the test. Welcome it, pass it, and prove not to her, but to yourself, that no storm can move you. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you command through your presence, your discipline, and your purpose. You don't earn it by chasing, pleasing, or proving. You earn it by standing still when others shake, by walking away when others beg, by choosing silence over reaction, and by mastering yourself before trying to master the world. If you want women to respect you, be the man they can't control, can't predict, and can't replace. Not because you played games, but because you played by principle. This is Stoic masculinity, calm, clear, untouchable. And when you live it, you don't just attract respect, you embody it. If this spoke to something in you, subscribe to Stoic Guide, where we don't chase approval. We build the kind of man who never needs it. Until next time, stay sharp, stay grounded, and never ever chase